This Council resumes the second reading debate on the Stamp Duty Amendment Number 2 Bill 2026. Members who wish to speak, please press the Request to Speak button. Mr. Robert Lee. Thank you, President. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the Stamp Duty Amendment Number 2 Bill 2026 that provides for the calculation and payment of stamp duty in respect of certain instruments in renminbi mainly. I want to speak mainly about the provisions to be amended and the impact. I won't go into the minute details, but I hope the administration can follow up on the specific provisions. The bill mainly amends Section 18 of the bill so that for the calculation and payment of stamp duty in respect of certain instruments, the amount is to be calculated in Hong Kong dollars in equivalent. For stamp duties and other levies and fees, they are still paid in Hong Kong dollars, even if the transaction is made in renminbi. There will be additional costs. It can also be inconvenient. It will impede the vibrancy of dual counter market. And according to FSTB's data in 2025, the total turnover for the renminbi counter is 23 billion yuan, and the average total turnover is just 0.05% of the total turnover for the market. The relevant amendments would allow for stamp duty to be paid directly in renminbi. I hope that with this we can have stamp duty and other levies and fees paid in renminbi that will increase the turnover of the renminbi counter and enhance liquidity. It should also expand the investment channels of renminbi in Hong Kong, enhancing Hong Kong's status as an offshore renminbi business hub. I now want to talk about some things that I want the administration to follow up on. I hope the administration will consider exempting stamp duty for renminbi counter stocks or provide some sort of concessions so that we can reduce transactional costs and boost transactions under the renminbi counter. It can promote internationalization of renminbi. It will also boost relevant transactions without imposing a heavy burden on fiscal position of the government. We should also have more renminbi counter stocks. Right now we only have 23 companies. We should expedite the approval process so that more quality listed companies can be included in the renminbi counter to provide more diversified options to investors. We should have the renminbi counter included in the mutual access arrangements as soon as possible to really channel the significant mainland capital to the renminbi counter to really change its current slump situation. We should also extend renminbi payment arrangements to other levies, such as levies by the SFC, AFRC, etc., to have full coverage of renminbi in the whole trading process. That should provide more convenience. I believe with the amendments, it will help enhance liquidity of the renminbi counter and strengthen renminbi's functions as an international investment currency. It can also consolidate Hong Kong's status as an offshore renminbi business hub. I so submit speaking in support of the bill. Thank you, President. Mr. Rock Chen. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the Stamp Duty Amendment Number 2, Bill 2026. This bill specifically says Hong Kong should actively align with the country's development strategy, and a part of it is strengthening Hong Kong's functions as an offshore renminbi business hub. Since June of 2023, we have the HKEX launched dual counter model, but renminbi counter payments must be exchanged to Hong Kong dollars in the equivalent amount. So basically, while the transaction is made in renminbi, people have to pay stamp duty in Hong Kong dollars. It has increased exchange costs for investors. It has also made things inconvenient. The specific amendments provide for the calculation and payment of stamp duty in renminbi. It tackles the root cause of the issue. We have seen since the implementation of the renminbi counter arrangements, we have some good outcomes, but there is still much room for improvement in terms of liquidity and turnover. Let's take the data on 19th of June 2025, an anniversary of the implementation. We have for the 24 stocks, the turnover being 52.4 billion Hong Kong dollars. For Hong Kong counter, for the renminbi counter, it's just $100 million. There's a significant gap, mainly due to the transactional costs and the exchange rate costs. With the amendments we have here in this bill, we will be able to have people pay the stamp duty and other fees in renminbi. That will definitely waive the exchange rate, remove the exchange rate costs for investors. The amount may not be much, but it can create a multiplier effect and boost the renminbi counter. We should not only consider the effectiveness of the measures limited to boosting liquidity. We should not stop at that. We need to make sure there are ancillary services and we actually implement relevant arrangements, for example, to include renminbi counter in the mutual access arrangement so that mainland investors can directly use renminbi to invest in Hong Kong stocks and pay stamp duty, fully removing any risk of exchange rate fluctuations that can really boost the liquidity of the renminbi counter. I urge the administration to work with the HKEX and mainland authorities to implement relevant arrangements within this year. President, the bill will help promote internationalization of renminbi, and it's important for the high-quality development of financial market. I so submit.
Mr. Andrew Yao. President, I speak in support of the government bill. The Hong Kong X and the government rolled out in June 2023 the dual counter model, and since then we have achieved some progress in internationalizing renminbi in Hong Kong. However, for these stocks, in order to pay stamp duty, the currency must first be converted into Hong Kong dollars. So there is additional risk and additional cost because of the currency exchange. Now, the policy address has put forward this proposal for renminbi counter stocks stamp duty to be paid in renminbi. This is a response to the request of the sector. I support the bill for three reasons. We must support our country's development. Hong Kong is the largest offshore renminbi hub. As we know, the geopolitical landscape are changing rapidly. With geopolitical tensions, there is a greater demand for renminbi in the international market. Under this new arrangement, we are doing away with the currency exchange barrier. For investors, it will provide a more efficient and convenient way of investment. We can also bolster our status as the global offshore renminbi hub. Second point, after addressing the currency risk, we'll be able to unleash the potential and enhance market liquidity for high-frequency traders. Even for arbitraging activities, a minor change in the currency rate would add to their compliance costs and operational risk. After putting this amendment bill in place, they'll be able to pay the stamp duty in renminbi, and for larger institutions, this can help lower their currency risk, and this can also help renminbi go international. Finally, now I think it forms a very good foundation for more dual counter stocks to be included in the Hong Kong Stock Connect. Now there have been a very keen demand for the Stock Connect, and that mainland investors will be able to invest in stocks across the boundary with the use of renminbi. This amendment bill can help refine the necessary infrastructure to further deepen the mutual access program of the two markets, and that will continue to give play to our unique advantage of having the motherland support and being connected to the world. This amendment bill represents the new style of governance of this proactive government. It's also a demonstration of good interaction between the executive and the legislature in order to maintain high efficiency. To bolster our status as an IFC, I support the bill. Mr. Dan Slang, President, speak in support of the Stamp Duty Amendment Number 2 Bill 2026. The Hong Kong Exchange rolled out in June 2023 the Hong Kong renminbi dual counter model for investors to buy Hong Kong listed stocks in either Hong Kong dollar or renminbi. However, according to the stamp duty ordinance, the stamp duty should be paid in the currency that is converted to its equivalent in Hong Kong dollar. In other words, for investors of dual counter stocks, they still need to pay stamp duty in Hong Kong dollar. This is not in line with the latest trend. The chief executive announced in the Policy Address 2025 that renminbi can be used to settle the stamp duty for dual counter stocks, and that is the background of the amendment bill. I support it. I think it's the right direction for a number of reasons. First, the 15 five-year plan of our country clearly supports Hong Kong's status as an international financial center. We need to bolster our function as the largest global offshore renminbi hub. At the moment, over 70% of offshore renminbi businesses are settled in Hong Kong, and the banking sector records a monthly renminbi settlement volume of over $4.1 billion. And according to People's Bank of China, there will be deepened cooperation in the Greater Bay Area on the financial front, especially expansion of various stock and bond connect programs. So this amendment bill will allow the payment of stamp duty in renminbi for dual counter stocks, and this is one measure of internationalizing renminbi, and Hong Kong can be the testing ground for the country's financial reform. The second point is that under the current arrangement, trading is conducted in renminbi but for dual counter stocks, but the stamp duty will have to be paid in Hong Kong dollar. This is against the market logic. Upon amendment of the law, the stamp duty can be paid in renminbi, and the trade can also be settled in renminbi as well. As for other levies, internally there will be measures to rationalize the charging of the levy so that renminbi can continue to be used, and this will greatly enhance the usage of renminbi. The third point is that at the moment, after trading dual counter stocks, the stamp duty will have to be paid in the currency that is to be converted in its equivalent in Hong Kong dollars, and that entails currency risk. Upon amendment of the law, investors can directly pay stamp duty in renminbi. This can lower cost and boost the transaction volume. More investors will be willing to buy dual counter stocks and settle them in renminbi as well. This can further enhance the breadth and depth of our renminbi market here. The fourth point is we need to strengthen our position as the offshore renminbi business hub. We must not only sit on our laurels, we must continue to tap different application scenarios and investment channels. The amendment bill will give a stronger role for the renminbi to play in the process. Because from trading to settlement to payment of stamp duty, everything can be done with renminbi, and this is conducive to attracting more investors, including mainland and international investors, to participate in the capital market. There'll be more channels of investment for renminbi. The fifth point is that to dovetail with the major development strategies of our country in the Greater Bay Area, we must enhance connection on the financial front. Hong Kong is the international financial center in the Greater Bay Area. So through this amendment, we can avoid having to convert renminbi into Hong Kong dollar first for the payment of stamp duty. This can address the currency risk and streamline administrative procedures. Now, this is also a demonstration of our government taking the lead in deepening cooperation on the financial front in the Greater Bay Area so as to promote market liquidity. It carries a lot of significance. On these three fronts, the amendment bill helps bolster Hong Kong's status as an international financial center. We can give play to our unique advantages. The 15th five-year plan supports Hong Kong's status as an IFC. The PBOC has also expressly supported Hong Kong's development into an international financial center. This amendment bill is an active response to the national strategy and to market response. I hope that this can be implemented as quickly as possible so as to promote the development of the capital market in Hong Kong so that we can bolster our status as the leading offshore renminbi business hub. I so submit the support of the bill.
主席，早前施政報
Mr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, President. The policy address announced that the government will implement the arrangement for paying the stamp duty arising from RMB counter-stock transactions in renminbi so that investors can settle stamp duty payment and other levies in renminbi. We're going to now amend the stamp duty ordinance to set out that stamp duty arising from renminbi counter-stock transactions will be settled in renminbi. I think that this will enhance the transaction volume and liquidity of the renminbi counter, and this will promote renminbi as an international investment currency and further consolidate Hong Kong's status as an offshore renminbi business hub. I think that Hong Kong need to serve our country in renminbi internationalization. Hong Kong have the largest pool of offshore renminbi capital. The deposit in renminbi in Hong Kong amount to over $1 trillion. So I think that this is conducive to Hong Kong's consolidation of our status as an international financial center. Given the heightened political tensions, I think that by having more renminbi-denominated products and infrastructures, we can attract more foreign sovereignty fund from the Belt and Road and Asian countries come to Hong Kong. I think that upon amendment of the ordinance, the government and the regulators need to speed up the inclusion of stock trading counter in renminbi for southbound trading under Stock Connect. This is how we can drive a large pool of fund from the mainland to Hong Kong. At the same time, we can allow other levies and fees to be settled in renminbi, including levies from the SFC, transaction fees from the Hong Kong exchanges, and so on and so forth. And this is how we can reduce conflict in transactions. I think that the FSTB and the Invest Hong Kong should work with the Hong Kong Exchange to visit ASEAN and Central Asian markets to promote the latest facilitation measures of RMB securities market. I think that this measure is more than just a tax improvement measure. It is an important and essential strategies to how we can dovetail with the national development. Mr. Alan Chan. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the Stamp Duty Amendment Number 2 Bill 2026. This amendment may be technical in nature. It is essential in improving our Hong Kong renminbi stock exchange mechanism. Under the current mechanism, even though transactions may be done in the Hong Kong dollar renminbi dual counter, the relevant instrument must be converted into its equivalent in Hong Kong dollars, and this cause inconvenience on cost calculations and increase the burden on the investors. I think that the direction of this amendment is correct and it's also necessary. I support this bill because, first of all, it can enhance the attractiveness of the renminbi counter, make it more practical to investors. Investors can settle their stamp duty and stocks in renminbi counter in renminbi. I think that this will increase the liquidity and transactions of the counter. This does not only make our renminbi counter more convenient, it makes our transaction mechanism more comprehensive. Second, this amendment enhances a connection between Hong Kong and mainland capital markets. The paper says that in April 2024, the China Securities Regulatory Commission announced a series of measures to further expand the mutual access between the capital markets of the Chinese mainland and Hong Kong, including supporting the inclusion of renminbi stock trading counter for southbound trading under Stock Connect. Although we are still waiting for the regulators to approve of such arrangement, but if we don't allow investors to settle their stamp duty payment in renminbi, then it's difficult for us to include the relevant counter under Stock Connect southbound trading. So I think that this amendment lays the foundation for a further development of our capital market. Third, from the perspective of public finance, I think that the cost arising from the amendment is minimal. The government said that the cost involved would be a one-off system upgrade. Given the limited administrative cost involved, we can improve our renminbi trading mechanism. I think that it's worth it. During the consultation period, the stakeholders supported the amendment. The panel on financial affairs of the LegCo also supported it. I think that this shows that the market and the LegCo have a consensus on their support for the bill. I hope that the government will announce the implementation timetable as soon as possible and that they will upgrade the relevant systems soon. As the next step, I think that the government should set quantifiable KPI to review the liquidity and number of participants as well as the product diversity under the renminbi counter. President, this bill is not a reform of our system, but it's an essential part to how we can enhance the convenience of a renminbi trading counter. And I think that this is a practical amendment. I support the bill. I hope that the government will improve the ecosystem of renminbi products. Thank you. I so submit.
我現在請財經
Does any other member wish to speak? If not, I now call upon the Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury to reply, then the debate will come to a close. Secretary. President, first of all, I'd like to thank the members who've just spoken in support of the Stamp Duty Amendment Number 2 Bill 2026. The government has all along been committed to consolidating and enhancing our status as an international offshore renminbi hub, and we have been actively leveraging our pivotal role in assisting our country to advance the process of renminbi internationalization. In June 2023, the Hong Kong exchanges launched the Hong Kong dollar renminbi dual counter model in Hong Kong to expand the investment and application scenarios of renminbi in the global financial market, allowing investors to choose either Hong Kong dollars or renminbi to trade securities of Hong Kong listed companies. Securities under the two counters belong to the same class. The investors enjoy equal rights under both counters, such as receiving dividends and voting rights. However, under the current requirement, when trading dual counter securities at the renminbi counter, investors are still required to convert the stamp duty into equivalent Hong Kong dollars for payment. The bill will provide that stamp duty for transactions of dual counter securities at the renminbi counter should be calculated and paid in renminbi. This allows investors to simultaneously settle transactions and pay relevant stamp duty in renminbi, further facilitating investors in conducting transactions at the renminbi counter. Some members would like us to clarify a few points on the collection of stamp duty arising from other renminbi stock transactions. Through the bill, the government has reserved sufficient flexibility to empower the Secretary for Financial Services in the Treasury to, by notice in the Gazette, allow other security transaction to pay stamp duty in currencies other than Hong Kong dollar when necessary in the future. Apart from stamp duty, investors are also required to pay certain levies when trading stocks, such as the SFC levy, the AFRC levy, and the Hong Kong Exchange trading fee. Under the current framework, the relevant bodies only need to amend their rules to allow these levies to be collected in renminbi, and no legislative amendment is required. Under the 15th five-year plan, it is said that we should promote the internationalization of renminbi and further strengthen our status as an global offshore renminbi business hub. The government is dedicated to enriching renminbi-denominated products and risk management tools to meet the needs of domestic and overseas investors. Hong Kong plans to, on the 3rd of August, launch our 5-year China Treasury bond futures, providing international investors with an effective offshore hedging tool to meet their risk management needs for China Treasury bonds. Yesterday, we just held the FIC summit. We thank the PBOC and the central authorities for implementing a series of measures to promote the internationalization of renminbi. Now, coming back to this bill, the Inland Revenue Department and the Treasury are working on internal system upgrade. The Hong Kong Exchange will also streamline the procedural arrangement for collecting relevant levies in renminbi under their internal framework so that the market can truly enjoy one-stop renminbi settlement and payment experience. Will align with the system readiness and testing progress of the Hong Kong Exchange, the industry, and the relevant departments, and specify an most appropriate commencement date by notice in the Gazette to ensure smooth system interface and market transition. President, the implementation of the bill is an important initiative for the government to proactively respond to market demand and enhance the competitiveness of Hong Kong's securities market. Calculating and paying stamp duty for transactions of dual counter securities at the renminbi counter in renminbi will significantly enhance the trading convenience of the renminbi stock counters and is expected to further boost the turnover and liquidity of the counter, while concurrently strengthening the function of renminbi as an international investment currency. I urge members to support the passage of the bill so that we can implement relevant arrangements as soon as possible. Thank you, President.
向各位提出嘅待
Now I put the question to you that the Stamp Duty Amendment Number 2 Bill 2026 be read the second time. Will members please proceed to vote? Members please press the present button. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise your hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. Stamp Duty Amendment Number 2 Bill 2026. This Council now becomes Committee of the Whole Council to consider